watching Let's Chat.
We're glad to have you with us, and we are continuing our conversation with Ringgold City Councilman, author, actor, entertainer, civic leader Randall Franks. And Randall and I were talking a little bit about music before the show began, and a little bit during the commercial break. So, Randall, glad to have you back. I see you have a fiddle with you.
I do, my old standby.
I have a fiddle that was autographed by the one and only Charlie Daniels, and this is a commemorative fiddle of when the devil went down to Georgia a number of years ago. And you have a personal connection, not just with Charlie, but with that song. Tell me about it.
Well, I was blessed many years ago. Of course, in country music, we often do concerts together, but I remember doing a show out in Wichita, Kansas, where most people know Charlie as a fiddle player, but he started out as a guitar player. And I was blessed to have Charlie play guitar for me so I could fiddle for the audience and join in with all of the other stars who were performing on that concert. We had a lot of fun. And of course, the song that The Devil Went Down to Georgia, I was blessed to write the prequel to that song. It's called The Old Black Fiddle. And you got one of those in your hand, an old black fiddle. So
I do. What's the premise of the old black fiddle? Give us just the 30-second synopsis on that.
Well, essentially, it tells us the story of the fiddle that Johnny played and really lets us know why Johnny beat the devil that day. And so it's a wonderful song, and it's got a little history related to it. Of course, many people don't realize, or they could, that the song and the story is a Georgia-based story, obviously because the devil went down to Georgia, but it tends to lend to the old-time fiddle players who used to fiddle in the contest here in Georgia because that's what Georgia was known for.
Sure. And you've been to numerous fiddle contests, countless concerts. What do you think the appeal of the fiddle is? I mean, it's got 4 strings. It's not particularly big, but in hands like yours, it can elicit incredible emotions and incredible music. What is the appeal of the fiddle?
Well, I think for generations, the fiddler and the fiddle were the ones who set the tone for the dance. How the rhythm of life went was decided by the fiddle player. Now things have changed a little bit, and now we sort of lend more to the vocalists, but I think that's what it is. It's the heart inside the fiddle and the talents of the person that the fiddle is put in their hands to allow them to touch people's hearts internally with the heart inside the fiddle.
When you first picked up your first fiddle, did you know that that was going to be one of the instruments that you would make a passion with and a living with?
The cat scratching that came out in those early days, I can't see that was the way it was, but the first time I heard one close up from my great uncle Tom, who was a fiddle player at a family reunion, that along with the subsequent fiddle players I got to know is what thrilled me and what brought me to the fiddle.
And when you see 3 or 4 fiddle players doing alternate parts on the same song, it makes you want to go out and buy one, whether you have any musical knowledge or not. I wish I could play the fiddle, but that's just not one of my strong suits. It ain't one of my weak suits either. I'll just tell you, I can't do it. But one of these days, I'm going to try.
Well, at least you got a nice one to learn on. So that's a big,
certainly do.
A big step.
Tell me about your fiddle. Where has this fiddle been with you over the course of your career?
This is an Amati copy. It's from the late 1800s. It's been everywhere. I have 2 or 3 that I carry, but this is the one which, for me, has the best sound on stage, and it's traveled all across the United States and Canada, and of course been on most of my recordings over the last 25 to 30 years. It's Bill Monroe. It worked with me with Bill Monroe and Jim and Jesse and Mac Wiseman, Ralph Strandley, and so many of the other wonderful entertainers, as well as I've carried it to the Grandmaster Fiddler Championship as I've been celebrity host up there and performed as a guest entertainer for the Grand Ole Opry for years. So
wow, incredible career, and that's just with the fiddle. Of course, Randall has another good number of instruments in his skill set, but we're going to focus on the fiddle today. Can I talk you into playing us a little song?
I thought you'd never ask, Chip. So
And
let's do a little.
I'll do you a favor. I won't pick up my fiddle at all while you're playing. Not a bit. I won't even touch it.
Well,
I won't even look
just
at
turn.
it.
All right, that's very kind of you. Here we go with the. This is one everybody might recognize if you like dancing.
Wow, incredible, incredible. Very,
Thank you,
very nice.
Chip.
Tell me a little bit about the song and why you selected that one to share.
Well, that's actually one of the early fiddle tunes that I learned. Coming up in Georgia, there were old-time fiddle bands like Gid Tanner and the Skillet Lickers, and Old Joe Clark. That was the name of that tune, or it is the name of that tune. That was one of those early tunes that I learned from those fiddlers when I was growing up. My folks had relocated from Appalachia down into the Atlanta area, and we had a little barn that we would go and play on Saturday nights up in Sewanee, Georgia. And I used to sit at the feet of Gordon Tanner, who was the son of Gid Tanner, and he was
Right.
13 years old, was an early fiddle player with the Skillet Lickers, and I heard him playing tunes like that and tunes like Down Yonder and so many others, as well as the fiddle players like Chubby Wise and Tater Tate, and all who had an influence on me and gave me a few licks here and there. And of course, the great Kenny Baker, who was with Monroe, and so many times I pulled that record player needle back to learn a lick off of a recording that he did. So wonderful memory.
Understood. We have less than a minute left. I want to ask you this, and we can save this for our next visit, but you being an entertainer, what are one of the unseen or unthought of ways that this coronavirus has hit those of you in the professional entertainment business?
Well, I think one of the key ways is it's changed the dynamic of what our future as entertainers is. Obviously, many entertainers are reaching out via the computer now to their fan base, but we saw the cancellation of tours, the cancellation of festivals, town festivals, town days. So there are a lot of entertainers who are hurting because of coronavirus financially, but they've also got to figure out, well, how to keep their careers alive and keep connecting with those that care about what they do.
And that is a very, very tough balance. Randall Franks, thank you, my friend. We will see you here in the next week or two, and hopefully you will agree to come back and join us as the guest host of Let's Chat. Find out more about Randall, dynamic writer, dynamic musician, and a great community servant. RandallFranks.com. That's RandallFranks.com.